You have been deceived. If you are hearing these words in the early years of the 21st century, then you have already wasted much of your life dealing with nonsense. If you are surrounded by people who are called religious, then you have wasted your time dealing with people who claim that a God created the universe, that a God determined the course of your life before you were born, that a God will tell you what to do while you are alive, and that a God will punish or reward you after death. Depending on where you live, you may have had to live in fear for your life, fear that those who claim to be the chosen people of God will kill you, or enslave you, because you are not one of them. If you are surrounded by people who are called highly educated, then you have wasted your time dealing with people who claim that you should be good and virtuous, and that following their system of logic and reasoning is the only way to know what the words good and virtuous mean. These people tell you that it is not possible for you to know anything for yourself, and they consider you to be little more than slaves in a dark cave, waiting for them to enlighten you about a truth that only they can bring. And if you are surrounded by people who are called uneducated, then you have wasted your time dealing with people who claim that the world is chaotic, totally unpredictable, and that it is useless to plan for the future, or to do anything other than pursue the pleasures of the moment, preferably with drugs, or any of the numberless forms of escapism that substitute for drugs in today's world. It is time for you to see that all this is deception, and that you need not hand your life over to it. It is time for you to shift your devotion and your attention away from the deceptions which have grown from what we today call the Middle East. Once again you must ask the question that was first asked almost 2,000 years ago: what has Athens to do with Jerusalem? The man who first asked that question knew that Athens and Jerusalem cannot be reconciled, and that one has to take sides in the war between those who love their life in this world, and those who love some other world. You are living in a world that has chosen sides, and chosen unwisely. Hundreds of years before Tertullian asked his question about Jerusalem, there arose in Athens the greatest of all teachers and the school that he founded. The philosopher Epicurus showed the people of his day how to be free by asking other questions, questions which we ourselves can ask today. But what has confused so many of you is that you have never thought about the nature of asking questions. You presume that all questions are asked in good faith, and that answers can be established by looking to see how many people agree with them, or whether the answers make sense to you given the assumptions that the questioners ask you to make. Epicurus was the first man who pointed out that you yourself have the ability to find your way out of the dark caves of religion and higher education. Epicurus taught that those who say that your own abilities, your five senses, and the faculties with which you were born, are the only test of what is true and false, and that all religious speculation, and all academic logic and reasoning, must be based on evidence that men themselves have the ability to confirm or deny for themselves. Epicurus showed you what the preachers and the academics don't want you to see, that all their speculations are themselves based on the evidence of our natural faculties, and that speculation not built on that evidence is worthless. Where is the proof, asked Epicurus, that a God created the universe? Where is that God now? Where are his continuing acts of creation today? Show me before my own eyes one grain of sand being created from nothing. Show me one grain of sand being destroyed to nothing. If there is no proof that a grain of sand can come from nothing, or go to nothing, at the will of a God or any of his preachers, then there is no proof the universe can, or ever did, come from nothing. Where is the proof, asked Epicurus, that the human soul existed before birth, or after death? Where is the proof that a single man in all the ages has come back to life once being truly dead? Such proof does not exist, and that means that once dead we are nothing, and there is no possibility of reward or punishment after death. Where is the proof, asked Epicurus, that there is a single standard for what is good or virtuous in human life? Is it not true that killing another person will be looked on as a great evil if the person killed is an innocent baby, but that killing another person will be looked on as a great good if the person killed is a reprobate stopped cold in the act of mass murder? All questions of what is right and wrong must be judged by the context in which they occur, and there is no tablet of stone written by God or man which contains rules which must be obeyed by all men at all places and all times. But while ethical questions must be judged by their context, where is the proof, asked Epicurus, that nothing at all can be known with certainty? Why should we accept that just because killing might be good or evil, depending on the context, that the state of being dead might be a splendid delight in heaven or an eternal agony in hell, just because someone asserts that? Unproven assertion is bad enough, but worse are hose preachers and academics who tell us that nothing can be known at all. These are the worst kind of liars, because they presume that we will accept their definition of true and false even while they tell us that nothing can be true or false. And yet among the saddest of all are those who are uneducated to the point of believing that nothing matters at all. Such people make the mistake of believing that their lives are best drugged into a stupor after visiting the local pharmacy, the local movie theater, the local sports complex, or, worst of all, after visiting the Stoicism section of the local bookstore. In the face of these deceptions, Epicurus taught that we should look ourselves at the nature of the world, and see that the world is governed neither by gods nor by chaos. The sun rises in the east every day, and yet there is nothing truly new under the sun. Using our eyes and our intelligence we can see that the consistency in front of us must have a basis, and this basis is neither supernatural nor chaotic. The basis of all things we see, Epicurus said, is that they are made of elemental particles which we cannot see, but which are themselves the eternal fabric and glue from which the universe is made. There are no ideal patterns in heaven or in the exclusive possession of academics. There is no beginning or end to the universe in space or time. Instead there is only what is, the universe of eternal elements with natural properties from which worlds are made, from which the natural laws of the universe arise, and from which the universe as a whole is teeming with life. As for how we should live, Epicurus asked, to what do all living things look to know what is desirable and what is undesirable? Why would men be any less equipped by nature to know what to choose and what to avoid than are any other animals? All of us can see, Epicurus pointed out, that young animals of all types, even humans, reach out for pleasure and draw back from pain from the moment of birth, and this they continue to do so long as they remain uncorrupted. It is time for you to realize that the deceptions of the last 2,000 years are not irreversible, they are not permanent, and they are not your fate. You are a being with free will and an intelligent mind to use it. Just as you can choose what type of ice cream you like using your natural faculties, without gods or ideals of virtue to tell you which is best, you can choose how to live your life using your natural faculties as well. The path to happy living was opened by Epicurus over 2,000 years ago. It is time you got to know more about him.